This podcast is sponsored by ebookit.com, self-publishing solutions for the independent author and small press. Visit us today at ebookit.com. Wednesday, May 5th, 2010. Hello and welcome to the Toastmasters podcast, the official podcast of Toastmasters International. Hello, friends, guests, and fellow Toastmasters. My name is Bo Bennett.
And I'm Ryan Levesque.
We are back for another fantastic interview. Ryan, it's good to have you here, even though you're not actually here in the studio.
Yes, I'm joining virtually today.
It's good to have you joining virtually. And Ryan, who are we going to be speaking with today?
Well, today we have an exciting interview with Sunny Marie Hackman. She's an advanced communicator bronze and a competent leader. She's also a storyteller, writer, and a member of the Thunderbolt Orators Toastmasters Club in Lakewood, Colorado. Sunny Marie is also the author of an article in the April 2010 issue of the Toastmaster magazine. Sunny Marie, welcome to the Toastmasters podcast.
Welcome, Sunny!
Thank you. It's just a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you bet. It's a pleasure to have you on. Now, Ryan and I were talking about how to pronounce this, and you said that very few people could pronounce it. In fact, there's a whole series of YouTube videos dedicated just to the pronunciation of this, so I'm going to take my best guess. Then Ryan will take his guess, and you tell us who's closer.
Okay.
All righty, here we go. Here's mine. Pecha. Okay, Ryan, you go.
I'm going to follow up with Pecha.
Well, it's the best I can gather, and I don't think I have the exact Japanese pronunciation, but it's Pecha.
Oh.
Pecha.
Wow. So we're totally getting rid of a whole.
We're adding a syllable.
Pecha.
But,
okay.
You know, even on the YouTube videos, there's not a real consensus of how to say it. So I think
Even
you just
among
say
the
it
Japanese?
real fast and speak with authority.
All right. Pecha.
Pecha.
Yeah, see the cha at the end there. Pecha. All right.
And Sunny Marie, for our listeners who are not familiar with this phenomenon and who did not have the pleasure of reading your article entitled "What is Pecha?" in the Toastmaster magazine, can you explain for our listeners what the heck we're talking about?
Well, Pecha started in Tokyo with two designers, architects, Astrid Klein and Mark Dytham. They had a large venue in their place of business that wasn't being used, and they thought there are a lot of designers new designers, young designers that don't have a place to show their work. So they just, on a whim, decided to have an event where there would be 10 presenters, each with 20 slides, 20 seconds each, that proceeded automatically, not like PowerPoint, which the speaker has control of, because when you get a designer, an architect, or business person, in fact, if you give a microphone to a Toastmasters, sometimes they don't end when they're on the time.
Really?
So this way, it's guaranteed that the speaker is going to finish on time. So they decided to have this event, and it just took off. It went over the world. When I wrote the article, I think there was 251 cities, and now since I wrote the article, it's in 304 cities around the world.
Wow, you're very influential.
Good job.
Yes.
Interesting. So tell us, how did you find out about this phenomenon and get involved with it?
I was at a speakers conference in Nashville, Tennessee, the Advanced Communicators Workshop that's put on by Ken Davis. And they had a speaker that was talking about Twitter. And when he was doing his speech on Twitter, he was using the Pecha format. And I was just mesmerized and captured by his presentation. And afterwards, I talked to him, and he said, "It's Pecha." I said, "How do you spell that?" He said, "I don't really know, but just
You don't spell it, you do it.
You do it. That's right." So I came home and I did some research, and then just by serendipity, I saw a little blurb in the Denver paper that they were having a Pecha night. And I went, and it was so fun because you had 10 presenters of all different variety of speakers. They had somebody that had traveled the globe, and she did her presentation on just the food that she ate across the world. There was somebody who was into the green, making his house green, and how he didn't use any energy. In fact, he had a negative energy use. Somebody was growing chickens. Designers, it would be great if you had a business, if you were a small business or a large business or a nonprofit. There was one of each of those, a landscape architect, just variety. And it was only, 6 minutes and 40 seconds. So if you didn't like one speaker, the next one would be better.
It's right around the corner. Right. I heard it referred to as an extended elevator pitch, and I found that very interesting because essentially that's what it could be if you're using it for business.
You could use it for business. It works for is if you have a passion and you want to share your passion with the world, basically.
Mm-hmm. Great.
But the variety is endless.
Right. I've noticed that. When I read the article, I still had some questions in my mind, like the purpose of this. It seems to be kind of like a phenomenon going on here, especially when you look at the website and you look at all the people that are using this and how much they're talking it up and how great it is. And I was trying to grasp, why is this so different than, say, your typical PowerPoint presentation? Is it just because of the timing? Is it because of the 20 second per slide rule, if you want to put it that way? Well,
I look at it as I think Mark Dytham actually calls it an adult show and tell. Not that the content is adult, but it's fascinating because your slides, the slides do a lot of the heavy lifting. Okay, so when I decided to do this, I like to enter the humorous speech contest, right, but I always want to have someplace else I'm going to do this speech. I don't want to just enter the contest and that be the end of it. I want it to go somewhere else. So on this one, I wanted to enter the humorous speech contest and then apply to present at the Denver Pecha. And so my thinking is that if you have a slide every 20 seconds, if you can get a laugh every 20 seconds off your slide, then you have your verbal content, then you would up your humor level of the speech considerably because your slide would be doing some of the heavy lifting in itself.
Right.
And I think that is applicable for any speech. And I think that's what it makes it more effective than a PowerPoint speech, because a lot of times with PowerPoint, the speaker is just repeating the same words that's on the slide. But in Pecha, it's less written words and more picture. So you have the slides actually doing more of the heavy lifting of the speech.
Right.
But it doesn't overshadow the speaker. So you work in conjunction. So it gives the speech more texture and more dimension.
Right. I've noticed that definitely in speaking. I'm sure we all have in our clubs. People who are a little bit nervous about the content that they're delivering on, or if they're not comfortable with speaking, they tend to just ramble on, especially with PowerPoint slides, and they keep on going on and repeating the same information because they're not quite sure how to end or how to transition to the next one. But with this, I've watched, I don't know if you, Ryan, had a chance to watch any of the presentations, but I watched a couple online on that. We should have the URL. I think it's just Pecha-Kucha. That's how it's pronounced. I mean, that's how it's written, .org. Is that
right?
It? That's the website. And what I noticed about these is the slides. The speakers, they're like in the middle of the slide in their presentation, and then it switches automatically. So they just have to stop and then go to the next one. So there's a fast pace to it, and it's kind of humorous even when it's not supposed to be. It really pushes you in that direction. I found that kind of fascinating.
It's more of a dance
Yeah.
than just standing up there. And it does require practice. I think a lot of times with PowerPoint, the speaker may not practice, but with Pecha, you are going to practice. You're going to stand on your feet out loud and practice with those slides. And it's difficult, too, because when your audience participates with you in terms of laughter or emotion, that slows the speaker down. So you have to factor that little piece in, too. Mm-hmm. But what I found was that it really helped me edit. So many times as speakers, we have so many superfluous words that don't really add punch or meaning to what we're saying. But in Pecha, I learned how to edit unmercilessly and just say what was important and necessary.
Right.
And it also, you might know how much you can say in a minute, but with this, you learn exactly how much you can say in 20 seconds.
Right.
Of course. Sunny Marie, you mentioned earlier applying to present at a Pecha night. And I have a two-part question. The first part is there an official organization that runs or controls these evenings, such as Bo mentioned, pechacha.org? And secondly, what is the application process like? What do you need to do to apply, and how are presenters chosen?
Well, Pecha is a trademark. It's run fairly loosely. You apply to the website, to the Astrid Klein and Mark Dytham Foundation. This is my understanding. And then they only allow one Pecha night per city because they don't want multiple licenses, I guess you'd say, per city. You agree that you're going to have 4 nights per year, a minimum. Some in Tokyo, they have it once a month, but you have to have a minimum of 4 nights per year. And it's a lot of work to have a Pecha night. Then they renew the license every year. It's nonprofit, so there's no charge to get in. Here in Denver, they charge $5 donation. It's not really a charge, it's just a donation. And then there's no fee or payment to the presenter.
Gotcha.
You apply, you send them your pitch, and then they either accept you or reject you, and then make plans to have you there if you're accepted.
Interesting. Yeah, we see those a lot, one of those required donations. You don't have to donate, but you don't have to get in either.
Yeah, exactly.
No, and Denver, it's a donation. It's
a true donation. Okay.
Yes.
Well, if I may, let me ask you about some of the technical aspects of this technology. Is it just the presenter is actually controlling the slides? So
No,
somebody else is
control.
controlling the slides. So somebody else is controlling your slides that you give them.
Exactly. When I was accepted, a week before, I had to send them 20 pictures in a file.
Okay.
Marked 1 through 20, and I gave them to them, and then they call you up there, they say your name, and then once that you're on, and you start talking.
Right.
So
and
you
your
don't even
slides
have
are
to
going
mess
to
around
move
with
no matter
PowerPoint
what.
or some other program.
Right.
They do that for you.
Right.
Yes.
That's
so
great.
you
But of
have
course,
to be
if
ready.
you're doing
But
that
at
at the
home,
club level, let's say, or in a context outside of one of these official organizations, then obviously you need to do a little bit more work to prepare your slides.
well, and I did it on the club level, and at the contest, I did it in Keynote on my Mac, and then I had it also on PowerPoint. And I would just take my computer with me and my LCD projector and start it. And so it ran just like it would at the Pecha night. I set the slides to change automatically every 20 seconds.
Good.
That's an additional challenge for you at the contest level, because although you could have perhaps taken a few extra seconds if needed on a slide, you held yourself to the clock. But I guess the advantage also is it makes sure you're not going to go overtime.
Well, I don't think it would be a Pecha if you controlled the slides, and I think you would eliminate some of the energy.
Mm-hmm. Right, but in a humorous speech contest, though, were you explaining the concept that you were doing this in Pecha format, or did you just get up and do it that way?
I just got up and did it that way. My club knew that it was a Pecha, and some people asked me afterwards, and I explained it, but it was a very new concept.
Well, right. I could see that being an issue for a contest speech. Just imagine you're delivering this contest speech, and 20 seconds in, the slide changes, and you're not done. So you stop in the middle of what you're saying, and you go on. People would take off points for that, right?
Well, you practice.
Okay.
I mean, you have to practice.
Yeah, certainly. It seems more challenging.
It was challenging, but it was worth it.
Yeah.
And a little practice never hurt anybody.
Let me ask you this, Sunny Marie. As you're presenting on a stage, how are you knowing, especially I'm thinking in the context of a contest speech, how are you knowing the slide has changed unless you're like looking back at the screen? Obviously, if you have it down pat, word for word, then you're going to have a reasonable idea of when it's changing. But did you find that to be a challenge in presenting at the contest level?
That is a challenge because you can't look at the screen. But the pictures, that's another difference between Pecha and PowerPoint, is your pictures are huge. Mm-hmm. They are like the size of a wall, the full screen. So you are going to see them change. You may not, there's going to be something visual that you catch in your peripheral vision because the slides are huge. Right. And it's particularly at Pecha night, the slides are immense.
Gotcha. Otherwise, if that doesn't work, you just hook up a system of mirrors, I guess.
You could do that.
Good idea.
Another challenge of the contest, and I think any Toastmaster would face this challenge if they used it as a speech, is that all your work had to be original. So you wanted to either take your pictures, your own pictures, or you had to get copyright-free photographs.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay.
Because you wouldn't want to. I made particular effort not to use any pictures that one, didn't take myself, or two, that I didn't purchase and were copyright free.
Right.
Yeah, you don't want the FBI busting in on your speech. That'd be kind of embarrassing.
No, I don't or serve any time.
Or the Pecha police, for that matter.
Yes, or the Toastmaster organization.
Somebody.
It's when I sign that paper, it's all original work,
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Well, this is good stuff. I got to tell you, Sunny Marie, I'm definitely motivated to try this and give it a try. We've Ryan and I both done PowerPoint karaoke before, and this seems that there's definite similarities in this presentation style. I think it would be challenging. I think this may be, Ryan, if you agree with me, a little bit more educational or have a little bit more substance than the PowerPoint karaoke.
I think so.
But I think it would be equally as fun. At least it sounds it.
I'm going to have to try that PowerPoint karaoke.
Oh, that's a lot of fun.
Interesting.
That's a lot of fun.
The idea behind that, for our listeners who aren't familiar, is you have a set of slides. It doesn't have to be a certain number. I think when we did it, we used about, I don't know, do you remember, Bo? Might have been like 6, 10 slides.
Something like that.
But you don't see the slides in advance. So the speaker gets up there, they see the title slide for the presentation, and they just have to go through the slides and present the content. Give a presentation slide unseen.
Right.
And that sounds like a good table topics.
It is. It's a lot of fun. Yeah. We've done it for table topics before. The best part about it is you have to do it with total confidence. You have to go up there and you have to pretend you own that material. And it is a really good lesson in Toastmasters.
Yes.
So I see both of these as new techniques, a different way to present that will build your presentation skills overall.
And there's also another called Ignite, which is, I think that each slide is 15 seconds, and the total amount is 5 minutes. So there's all different varieties of this sort of presentation.
Gotcha.
Right.
Hey, Ryan, let's create one called Bo and Ryan, and we'll make it 10 seconds, and then we'll copyright it and license it.
Ooh, yeah, I like it.
Nice. I like the
it.
idea. So this,
Required donations if you want to do a Bo and Ryan night.
I like it. Good idea. Sunny Marie, where can we find out more information about this? Do you have the URL? If you don't, I have it here.
Yes, I think it's just pechaca.org.
Okay. Yeah. And let me spell that out once again, because the spelling and the pronunciation is crazy. It's PECHA-KUCHA.org. And if you go to that site, it's a clear site. It explains it. There's a whole FAQ that with all the questions about it. If you do have any questions about what Pechaca is, it'll answer it for you. And there's a lot of the videos too, so it's great to watch the videos and to see these presentations. And I don't know about you, but Ryan, but I definitely learned something by watching some of these videos.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sunny Marie, I understand your Pechaca presentation is available on your website, and I know that because I watched it and it was fantastic. But could you share with our listeners the URL for your website?
Yes, www.sunnymariehackman.com.
Very good. And
Okay.
if I recall, you click on the podcast link to get to your presentation of Pechaca.
That is correct. It is
Fantastic.
correct. And I would like to know if a listener or a Toastmaster tries this and hear back what their impression of Pechaca presentation was like.
All right, well, let's just let everybody know now. If you send an email to podcast@toastmasters.org, if you have tried it, let us know, and we'll read some of that on the next show, and we'll certainly forward it over to you, Sunny, as well.
Oh, thank you very much.
All right. Sunny, it has been a pleasure. Thank you very much. This was a wonderful article, and I think it's opened up all our eyes to a new presentation style that I think, at the very least, we should give it a try and see how it works for us.
Oh, I think so. It was fabulous. I can tell you, it was a very much improved my speaking skills.
Great.
Very
All
good.
right. Well, thank you very much. It was a pleasure speaking with you, and hopefully we'll see you at one of the conferences.
Yes, I hope so. It was great to meet you both.
All right.
Thank you, Sunny Marie.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
All righty. So, Ryan, what do we got going on with feedback? I believe we have some feedback this week.
Yes, we do. We have an email from Bob from Crystal Lake Toastmasters in Crystal Lake, Illinois. Bob writes in and says, "Great show, guys. I'm glad you created this podcast. I have a proposal for a future show. I think it would be interesting to do a show about Toastmasters culture. You know, the incessant clapping, the constant correcting of the word podium to lectern, the tricks people may use to avoid being called on during table topics, the proper forms of address, as in Mr. Master Evaluator, etc. I'm sure if you guys put your head together, you could come up with oodles of ideas." Bob continues, "By the way, I'm the 2009 Humorous Speaking Champion for Chicago," and he sent us a link to his speech, which I watched, and it was fantastic, Bob. So thank you for writing in. Thank you for your suggestion on the show. Bo and I were actually just talking about that very topic as a result of your email, that it would be a good idea to do a show introducing new Toastmasters to some of the Toastmaster culture that might seem a little strange or odd for someone attending a meeting at the first time.
Right. And Ryan, you definitely had a good point before when we were talking about it. We're like, we don't want to make fun of Toastmasters. A lot of these things that go on, it's kind of awkward, kind of different. But it definitely, there's a really good angle to it, and that's the educational angle.
For sure.
I know from experience, when we bring in a new person to the club, not our advanced club, of course, but some of our beginning clubs, we talk to them about, all right, here's what's going to happen. People are going to clap, they're going to shake hands, and then they're going to clap some more. They're going to shake hands some more. And then when that's done, they're going to clap some more. So, don't be freaked out. You'll get used to it. And I like to explain the reason why we do this.
Right.
And once you
It's
get
not a
into
cult.
it, no, it's not a cult. No sheets required. Wearing around your head, you don't have to shave your head or anything. Once you explain all that, it makes sense. And I think a podcast on that, or at least a segment of the podcast, I think that'd be a good idea.
Yeah. So thank you for that suggestion, Bob.
Thank you very much, Bob. And Ryan, if people want to give us feedback, how can they do it?
Well, they can always give us a call at our listener feedback voicemail line, which is 1-888-451-8862. You can send us an email, podcast@toastmasters.org. You can post on our blog at toastmasterspodcast.com or find us on Twitter, twitter.com/the TM podcast. We'd love to hear from you.
All right. My name is Bo Bennett.
And my name is Ryan Levesque.
Thank you very much for joining us this week. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Isn't it about time you published that book you've been thinking about? We can help with that. At ebookit.com, we've been providing authors and small presses with ebook publishing services since 2010. Visit us today at ebookit.com and let us know how we can help you.